Okay, right about now, how to embrace disruption. Alrighty, so tips for becoming disruptively progressive. I'm not even sure if that's a term, but it is now, but we're disrupting, so that's okay. So think like private sector. Now I know that's hard. I've actually worked in government, so I know what it's like. It can be a little bit frustrating. You're in a bureaucracy. Some people have been there and worked there for 40 years and they're like, this is the way it's done. So you guys, if you're progressive, you're the emerging leaders, which is fantastic. It kind of falls on you to keep pushing and making sure that your organisations are considering this technology. Use big data, we've just spoken about that. So putting citizens at the heart of all decisions. So that is what you would hope every council would do, and that's what councillors are voted in for. That's what their job is, to make sure that their community is looked after. But just remember, the citizens are the ones that created Airbnb and created Uber and creating all these other things. So yeah, they're already ahead of it. Embrace risk. Learn to always learn. So it's really tricky when you're in a government situation, because if you make a big mistake, then your councillors or your minister or whoever could get really cranky with you, and then they won't get voted in, and there's a big problem. So I totally appreciate the political space that you guys are in. But as best you can, embrace risk. If you look at all of those entrepreneurs, those disruptors that we saw, they were all totally up for risk. They're totally cool with risk. So yes, if you want to slowly edge towards them, that would be a good thing. And the frameworks need to be adaptive as well, which can't happen overnight, but probably not in a hurry. But as you guys climb up the ranks and be total bosses of your organisations, which I'm expecting to see all of you, yeah, you will have more and more input. I'm sure you do already, but more and more as time goes on. There are some cool examples that I would encourage you guys to go off and explore. So there's the Mayor's Office of New Urban Mechanics, which sounds really weird. It's in Boston, and they have, so the Mayor is really obviously up for innovation and disruption, and here's some things here that they've created within this special department, I guess they would call it. It's a crazy name, Urban Mechanics, but it's kind of cool. But it makes me think they're all in overalls, but I don't think they are. So there's a mobile app to report issues to council. Where is my school bus app? So there's an app that tracks all the school buses. That's not going to be that hard to do. I know Metro is probably not under your area and Boston's different, but find parking apps. So that would be great, to be able to see where there's actual parking available. If it was all hooked up to the parking meters and the car parks, and you could see that there was parks around, it'd be incredible. And there's one, Find a School for My Kids app, which is interesting. That would be more the education department, but that's what they're up to. Virgin Australia, and I'll leave this for you guys to read because we've only got a few minutes left, but they, the big boss of Virgin Australia went through this amazing change management thing, and he was interviewed for, I think it was Innovation in Government Conference or something like that, and these were the things that he came up with. In other words, it doesn't have to be huge changes, and it's a process. Like, you don't just have to change things incredibly and then deal with the fallout. You can do things incrementally. Yeah, innovation will only be successful if you're solving an actual problem. So always think of that consumer need that we were talking about. Encourage your team members to come up with new ideas and test and learn all the time. It goes back to that risk thing. Now, the former CEO of Turnbull's government, the Turnbull government's digital transformation office, so he resigned. Politics were all too much for him. He gave this advice to local government about digital disruption. build capability throughout the hierarchy of the organisation. So all levels need to have some kind of understanding of this disruption piece. Not sure what academy they're talking about. The UK has done this by taking, so they've got some kind of academy in the UK that addresses all this stuff, and technology should be a part of all the government strategies. So always consider when you're coming up with some kind of strategy, how could technology impact this? Here are two documents. So when you get these slides, you'll be able to have a look at this if you want to really get into it. So it's a digital disruption government document, and another one here that I found really, really interesting. So 2 things for you to read for your homework. So will we have jobs? Yes, we will. You can imagine robots are going to take over, but as I said before, the jobs are going to be more connected, they're going to be more creative, and they're going to be more interesting, which I think is really exciting. So how to personally prepare. So I've spoken about how the business should prepare, but how should you guys prepare for this change? It's simple really, just be curious. Know that online is a thing. Make friends with private enterprise. This is probably the best career advice I could give you guys, is instead of getting pigeonholed into local government, always keep a finger on what is happening out in private enterprise. That will help you make some really good decisions that are going to help people. Be an early adopter, so be the person with the new iPhone, be the person that has a smartwatch, be the person that's kind of onto it. If you want, you don't have to, but that helps. Google everything like crazy. Watch thought leaders in this space. There's plenty of TED Talks around this. There's amazing podcasts and newsletters. And of course, share what you learn within your own organisations as well. All right, quote from Steve Jobs. But what I want to know in the last few minutes that we have is, how did you go with your list, and what does anyone want to share with 1 or 2 areas that might actually make a difference to their workplace? Who wants to go first? Do you want to go?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah? Okay.
Artificial intelligence.
Yep.
It's going to be, I think, pretty massive. I know there are councils in the UK that are already using artificial intelligence to adapt to how they answer questions.
Yeah.
So because they're, like the way that they're setting up these neural networks now, they're learning the same way that the self-driving car technology is learning, and then that can be replicated and implemented throughout other organisations to use the same model.
Yeah, fantastic.
So all of the simple, base level roles within the organisation where someone needs some information, that can be drawn from a database and given without an actual person having to do anything.
It's quite exciting, isn't it?
Yep.
I guess it also has implications for education. If we're educating kids old school and the educators aren't taking any of this into consideration, what's going to happen in the future? If they're still teaching kids how to make sure their handwriting's really neat, yet it's all going to come out of our brain onto a hologram situation, it's quite, it's going to affect every area of community, but that's really interesting. That's really good. Thanks for that.
I like the idea of virtual reality, because I think everyone's council here has remote areas, and certainly seniors or vulnerable members of our communities are very isolated. So the idea of virtual reality will combat that sense of isolation.
Yeah, beautiful. So they've done research, and it's with virtual reality, there's research that proves if you put on a virtual reality headset and there's images of the Mediterranean or a waterfall, it tricks your brain into thinking you're there, and it calms you down and you feel so much more comfortable. They're actually even putting it on people in surgery. So if you've got a kid that's freaking out about having a splinter pulled out in a doctor's surgery, just stick that on there and the kid's surfing or whatever. So it kind of takes you out of your reality. Yeah, that's a good point about remoteness.
Yeah, we do an Antarctic experience program for gifted and talented students. The 2 winning students experience an Antarctic flyover. Well, all the other finalists who don't get to do that can experience Antarctica.
Yes.
Artificial.
That's right. There's actually, yeah, so for the cost of a $700 headset, you could make that happen for all the other kids.
Yeah.
It's already there. It's only on the internet somewhere. Yeah, that's cool. Anyone else on this table want to share anything? You're hiding. No? Cool? Oh, yeah?
The virtual reality side of things, I think it's going to be fantastic for community discussion with planning and development and construction of buildings.
Yeah.
So people can come in and actually get a physical sense, whereas a lot of people now, they're bamboozled by interpretations of what people are saying and plans and things like that, whereas they can come in and have a physical sense of what's going on. I think community engagement will be a lot better moving forward in the future.
Yeah, beautiful. And that whole like, oh, council's out to get me and council's not on my side, this will bring everyone together. Yeah, cool. Beauty. All right, other table. Anyone want to share anything over here?
I thought maybe the intelligent agents are the bigger ones.
Yep.
Chatbots, certainly, and also I actually like the hearables because we do a bit of work with Chinese.
Yeah.
And we often have delegations and you have an interpreter and those sorts of things. But that might be something that we look at, and also virtual reality. So I know, with people sort of sitting all day, it's not good. We've had this whole run the last couple of years that everyone wants to have a stand-up desk where they come in at a cost. So I can just see everyone now wanting a headset.
Yes, they will. They will. Yeah, and it's about all these things. It's about hitting the bell curve when it's still happening, but not when it's going to cost you an absolute fortune. You've got to find the sweet spot. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I just thought of one. I know in the past we've struggled to have to get volunteer drivers for our community cars.
Ah, yeah, right.
Self-driving cars. So
Yeah, whole fleet of them.
people into the hospitals and
Yeah.
ready to go, doctors' appointments. So,
Yeah, that's great. Good one. Yeah, really good.
We're doing a new visitor information centre at the moment, so we're looking at augmented reality.
Ah, good one.
Yeah, so that's stemmed from a LEGO conference. So yeah,
Oh, fantastic.
different things for that.
Beautiful. Wow. Okay. Does anyone have any final things that they want to share or want to say? No? Beautiful. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening to me today. I hope I've expanded your mind a little bit. Probably freaked you out a bit. Sorry if you have nightmares. But yeah, no, I've really enjoyed coming in and speaking. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm taking this thing right off right now.